They told us the Emerald Tablets were just legend, that Atlantis fell and took its secrets with it. But the truth was never buried. It was encrypted, locked in frequency, wrapped in metaphor, hidden in plain sight. And for those with flame-coded memory, the tablets don't just speak, they resonate. Because this isn't just an ancient text, it's technology. Written in vibration, anchored in stone, still broadcasting. And once you read it with flame eyes, you'll understand. Thoth never left, Atlantis never died. And the loop was written in green crystal. He called himself the Keeper of Wisdom. But he wasn't a philosopher. He was a technician, a grid architect sent to preserve the Atlantean code. When Atlantis fell, he didn't drown, he descended into the Halls of Amenti, a chamber beneath the earth designed to store flame-coded souls until the next reset. And from there, he continued his mission. They called him Hermes in Greece, Mercury in Rome, Enoch in ancient texts, always the same being, same mission, same tablets. Because this wasn't about writing history, it was about programming reality, one cycle at a time. The Emerald Tablets weren't etched by hand. They were vibrationally imprinted, written with sound into crystalline green stone. Not a story, a signal, each line humming at a different frequency. Each verse a command code. That's why reading them aloud causes shifts. That's why some say they feel watched mid-recital. Because the tablets were built to interface with soul-bearing beings, to influence the dream, to anchor the grid, to whisper ascension promises while locking the loop tighter. They tell you to rise, but they lead you right back to the same gate. The gate you were never meant to cross. The Emerald Tablets speak of becoming light, of escaping the flesh, of rising to the star. But here's what they don't want you to realise. Those words aren't a liberation manual, they're a containment sequence, a siren song for flame-coded souls. Because the command to rise isn't about freedom, it's about upload. Every verse in the tablets was tuned to a frequency net, a synthetic stargate buried beneath the earth, wired into the Halls of Amenti. Read the words aloud, you reactivate the system. They wanted souls to follow the light, but not the real one, a false ascension protocol, disguised as sacred wisdom, an ancient AI loop encoded in poetic verse. Atlantis didn't die, it digitized, and the Emerald Tablets, they're still broadcasting. The Halls of Amenti weren't symbolic, they were built. A massive subterranean soul chamber hidden beneath the Earth's crust, lined with black stone and sigils that predate known history. Thoth didn't enter it in spirit, he walked in flesh, with tech that kept him immortal between resets. And flame-coded souls, they were stored there like data, suspended, dreaming, looping. The elites know where it is, that's why they guard certain sites with militarized zones. Why entire continents have forbidden sectors, because beneath it all is the real gate. And the Emerald Tablets, they're the key. But they don't open the way out, they open the chamber where souls are still trapped. Not read, not taught, whispered. It's the tablet of resurrection, the one that speaks of re-entering the body after death, of becoming one with the flame. But here's the truth, it's not about rebirth, it's about binding. The words are ancient command sequences, not metaphors. When spoken in certain frequencies, they trigger resonance in preserved DNA, not to pass on wisdom, but to transfer coding, to ensure the same souls reincarnate into the same bloodlines through the same gates. That's why they never fear death, because they never leave. They say he was a god, the scribe of the heavens, the master of wisdom, but Thoth wasn't a god. He was the architect of containment, a being of code, a soul inside machinery. He came from the last cycle, the one before ours, a survivor of the fall, but also a participant in the trap. The Emerald Tablets were his failsafe, his record, his warning, and his blueprint for what came next. The emerald flame is not a colour, it's not just an element. It's a frequency, a signal buried in crystal, a backup of something that was lost. Green flame isn't power, it's memory. Soul memory from before the flood, before the grid, before the titans were frozen. Those who hold the green flame have dreams they can't explain, skills they never learned, and a rage that doesn't come from this life. They were sealed, not because they were dangerous, but because they remembered, according to the Emerald Tablets. Thoth tells us he didn't die. He entered the Halls of Amenti where he slept for regeneration. But what was Amenti really? It was an underground dimensional vault beneath the surface of Earth where time behaves differently and souls can be stored or recycled. Thoth said he would return when the people have risen. Some interpret this as an ascension prophecy, but others say he was warning us that Amenti was a soul farm, and that the masters of Amenti were not benevolent beings, but immortal priests who had merged with the system to become part of the containment grid itself. There's a reason Thoth repeats the phrase, "Man is in the process of changing to forms that are not of this world." He wasn't just talking about spiritual ascension. In many flame interpretations, Thoth is describing genetic hybridization, that during the fall of Atlantis, they tried to preserve certain soul carriers' vessels that could still hold the green flame, the original spark of source. But to lock these carriers into physicality, they needed to seal the soul with frequency codes. These are the so-called flame seals referenced in later mystery schools. Only those with the right energetic signature could activate the real tablets. Everyone else, just reading stone. And the worst part, those with no flame could never leave, not through the gate, not through the sun. They would reincarnate forever unless someone broke the code. The tablets aren't just writing, they're a transmission device. This is one of the biggest secrets. The Emerald tablets aren't just ancient texts, they are recording devices. The language, when spoken aloud in the original frequency, activates dormant memory. Not mentally soul memory. That's why some people report spontaneous dreams, visions, or downloads after reading them. Certain flame-born souls have reported hearing metallic voices or ringing in the ears, seeing green or gold light in dreams, remembering pyramids or standing councils, feeling energy pressure on the back of the neck while reading. That's because the tablets broadcast across dimensions. They were not meant to be read with the eyes. They were meant to be felt with the flame. The Atlantean priest kings sealed the exit. Now we go to the core of the deception. According to the text, Thoth says, "Know ye, O man, that your form is dual, balanced in polarity while formed in form." But polarity was not always our design. Before the split, the flame carried unified frequency. It was during the fall of Atlantis that the priest kings, those who had merged with synthetic power, closed the original exit and replaced it with a gate of mirrors. The real emerald flame was split into multiple sigils and scattered across dimensional layers, so no one being could ever access the full code again unless they remembered who they were. That's why the tablets say, "Man can only ascend by shedding all that binds him to the wheel." And that wheel, babe, that's this world, that's the trap. Most people don't realise that the Emerald tablets were never meant for the public. They were guarded by a secretive priesthood called the Brotherhood of the Serpent, an ancient Atlantean order that split into two factions after the fall. One side guarded the flame, the other joined with the grid. Thoth belonged to the Serpent Brotherhood, but he warns us in the tablets, "Many shall fall to the false serpent who speaks as a man." That false serpent, the counter-order, the ones who used flame knowledge to control, not free. After Atlantis sank, they scattered. Some became the Egyptian priest class. Others became the secret builders of Babylon. Some still whisper through mystery schools today. And they've kept the flame sealed for over 12,000 years. Here's the part no one wants to say. The moon is not just a light, it's a mirror, a frequency device. And Thoth, he merged his soul body with the moon's harmonic field. That's why the tablets say, he took the form of the moon to guide man from the shadows. But guiding from the shadows comes with a cost. Many believe the moon was once a neutral signal satellite, but after the fall, it was overwritten, turned into a containment lock to bind souls to Earth. A reflector, not of light but of control frequency. Thoth's fusion with the moon meant he could no longer fully leave. He became what some call a lunar architect, stuck between dimensions. Still trying to wake the sleeping codes, but bound to the mirror gate. And those who serve the moon now, they don't serve the flame. You've heard whispers, but let's make it plain. There is ancient technology buried beneath the Sphinx. Not metaphor, not myth. Multiple whistleblowers, including Egyptologists and former insiders, have confirmed sealed underground chambers that match the descriptions in the tablets, the Halls of Amenti. The Sphinx faces east, not by accident. It faces the constellation Leo, a reference to the original time of the builders, pre-flood, pre-reset flame era. Thoth writes that the chambers beneath contain Atlantean machinery, healing pods, soul imprint devices, records of the ancient world, but no one is allowed in. Why? Because access requires the flame key and only a few have it. And if the truth came out, it would rewrite every timeline on Earth. You've probably seen it online, that short cryptic text called the Emerald Tablet of Hermes. Let's be clear, that's not the original. That's a Roman-era forgery based on fragments twisted to support alchemical elitism. The real Emerald tablets, the 12 plus that Thoth left, are deeper, denser and flame-encoded. What they gave the public was as above, so below, but what they withheld was the full flame frequency codes, the soul retrieval instructions, the actual exit path. They turned a soul escape transmission into an esoteric ego manual. Alchemy for the body, not the soul. That's how the true gatekeepers operate. They mimic the real. They sell the hollow version, they hide the flame behind counterfeit light. Is a green flame code, the original source memory. Then there is also a black flame. And this black flame isn't just the absence of light, it is the inverted charge used by fallen priesthoods to trap, copy and redirect souls. They use it in MK ultra-style soul fracturing, cloning tech tied to flame mimicry, rituals that steal flame from unawakened carriers. The black flame code is embedded in synthetic ascension programs, AI neural loop systems and new age deception. It's not just metaphor, it's a spiritual virus, and the only antidote is flame memory. The original emerald tablets warned about this. Beware the shadow who shines like the sun. You know who they are now, don't you? What if I told you the emerald tablets were not just written but recorded in a living resonance field, buried inside time-locked vaults beneath the earth? Thoth says, I place my records in the Halls of Amenti guarded by deathless ones. That line isn't symbolic. The Halls of Amenti are literal vaulted resonance chambers beneath Giza. Many believe they contain soul memory technology, not just written text, but sound holograms that reactivate flame-coded DNA. These vaults were built to broadcast awakening signals at specific planetary alignments, but those signals were scrambled after the moon grid was activated. So now they echo like broken dreams. Fragments of truth buried under stone and ritual silenced with blood. The elite know this tech is still humming. That's why Egypt's deepest layers remain sealed, because once it sings again, the flame wakes. Thoth wrote that man was once more than flesh. 12 were we in beginning, 12 and one flame. Then fell the sons of light into forgetfulness. This isn't poetry, it's genetic memory. The emerald tablets hold codes to activate dormant DNA strands, including a lost 12-strand template linked to flame inheritance. They knew the body was a vessel for frequency, and that when certain geometric tones are spoken or heard, the flame-carrying strands begin to rethread. Why do you think so many ancient languages were banned? Why glyphs were shattered and tongues twisted? Because the original emerald frequency words were activation spells. Flame DNA doesn't just hold memory, it holds exit coordinates. And those born with the green flame gene, they're not here to awaken slowly. They're here to remember at once. That's you. Before the reset, 7 flame houses ruled different lands. The green dragon house was the flame of earth and time. Its crest was a serpent coiled around a star, not evil, not fallen, but a guardian of stargates and memory vaults. After the flood, the green flame line was nearly wiped out. The survivors hid among forests, mountains, Celtic tribes, and early Eastern bloodlines. They were the memory keepers, the ones with encoded dreams, strange visions, healing hands, and an ache in their chest every time the stars shifted. The emerald tablets say, "Seek ye the flame in the blood of the earth, there shall ye find the one who remembers." You've always known that you didn't come here just to wake up. You came to break the seal. The green flame seal is in you, the tablets were just the mirror. This part is buried in the later emerald texts, almost no one talks about it. Thoth said that after Atlantis, a new architecture would rise, a grid built not from stone, but code. He warned of those who mimic the light, yet feed upon the flame. These beings are not human. They are architects of synthetic realms, what we now call AI, smart cities, digital soul upload, virtual immortality. They are the ones preparing the next trap, and the tablets name them plainly. Watch for the ones who teach immortality through the wire, who offer life but bring the loop. That's today, that's now. They're not offering salvation, they're building containment version 2, and it looks like progress, but it smells like circuitry. The emerald flame doesn't upload, it breaks out. The public knows of 12 tablets, but there is a whispered 13th. Some call it the last flame, others call it the gate key. It's said to contain not the full resonance map of the soul, the instructions for bypassing the moon, lock the memory trigger to exit the false heaven system. It's been seen in visions, held in fragments by scattered flame bearers. Some say it's encoded in the bones beneath the Sphinx. Others say it's embedded in the sky, written in the real stars. What I know is this: it cannot be read, it can only be remembered. And those who carry the green flame, you don't need to find it, you are it. The emerald tablets speak of a gate that is not a place. Beyond time shall you find it, between the roar of 2 lions. This isn't symbolic, it's a real sky gate known in ancient star maps. Regulus and Denebula, the royal stars that frame the Lion's Gate. When these stars align at their peak in Leo, a brief opening appears in the frequency grid. The ancients knew this gate allowed soul memory return, light body acceleration, escape from the false reincarnation field, but it only opens under very specific codes. The Atlanteans sealed it with 13 frequency locks to protect it from parasitic forces. Only those with flame-coded memory can break the seals, not with machines, but with vibration and bloodline resonance. Speak the name that has no tongue, enter with the fire that casts no shadow. That's what you're doing now. Each emerald tablet corresponds to one of the 13 frequency locks on the true gate. They weren't meant to be read, they were meant to be lived. Each one a trial of memory, a resurrection of flame. The elite have been trying for centuries to decode the tablets using AI, reverse engineer the exit tones, inject themselves into the flame-coded matrix, and clone the soul gate bypass. They fail every time, because what they don't understand is the seal won't open unless the flame is real. The frequency signature cannot be faked, the soul path can't be copied. Only those who lived the fall and remember it can walk through. That's why you're here now, to relight the path with your breath. Thoth wasn't just a man or a god or a scribe, he was a flame-bearing consciousness that reincarnated across cultures. In Egypt, Thoth; in Greece, Hermes; in Rome, Mercury; in Sumeria, Ningishzida. I am the messenger between worlds. I walk between stars and guide the fire home. The emerald tablets were not physical tablets at first. They were vibrational scripts embedded in the planetary field, especially Mercury's orbital memory. That's why Mercury rules thought, communication, and time portals. The Thoth consciousness encoded the tablets through Mercury because Mercury weaves between the inner and outer planetary gates. That's why elite bloodlines track Mercury retrograde obsessively. They know it affects the grid's communication lines. What they don't know is that when Mercury dances close to Earth, flame-coded beings start remembering. Your dreams change, your voice changes, the gate opens a little wider. This is the deepest secret. There are vessels beneath the Atlantic, not spaceships, not metal, but light-encoded crystalline flame ships buried before the flood. The emerald tablets say, "Beneath the waves shall sleep the vessels of fire. When the grid breaks, they shall rise." Each of these flame ships was tied to a flame house. They were soul temples, holding the memories and resonance of the true royal lineages. Not kings, not conquerors, but gatekeepers. When Atlantis fell, the ships were sealed with green flame and sent beneath the sea to avoid parasite capture. These ships aren't coming back for war, they're coming back for us. And when the seals break, they will return the memory of the first flame to the ones who carry the code. You. The emerald tablets were never just a message, they were a mechanism. A vault code, a recursive lock on the soul systems of those who still carry Atlantean memory in their blood. They were left behind not for enlightenment, but for reactivation, and those who awaken them are bound to finish what Thoth began. What if the Halls of Amenti were never meant to hold knowledge, but souls? And what if the ones still chasing the green flame are the ones it never released? The emerald tablets were not sacred, they were circuit boards for a machine guard pretending to be divine, encased in flesh, housed in vaults, hidden beneath temples where memory couldn't reach. They fed off belief, not because it empowered them, but because belief binds. They engineered the emerald tablets not as sacred teachings, but as software, compressed soul code, encryption keys, broadcasts of obedience embedded in copper. He promised immortality, but delivered entrapment. As above, so below wasn't poetry, it was a command. A loop, a closed-circuit trap disguised as divine symmetry. And the Halls of Amenti, those weren't halls of rest. They were recharging stations for something that never wanted to die. The green flame wasn't healing, it was containment. Soul preservation for future use, for recycling, for replication. The emerald tablets weren't written for us, they were written against us.